What if the only thing standing in between you and your next level is what is on your plate? What if the very thing that you have been praying for, the clarity, the breakthrough, the financial overflow, isn't being withheld, but it's being weighed down because your vessel can't carry it yet? And that God isn't ignoring you, but He's not going to pour a kingdom mantle into a vessel that caves every time comfort calls. And you keep asking for more, but more is heavy. And right now, you are still eating like someone who is bound and in captivity. Your cravings are running the show. Your body is out of sync with your calling, and you have trained yourself to need the relief more than the results. And here is the sobering truth is that He won't send what you don't have the strength to steward, not out of punishment, but out of mercy. And so in part one, we went over how gluttony isn't just a bad habit, but it's the poverty spirit in disguise. Part two, we exposed how cravings aren't just cravings, they are breaking down and denying your very calling. And in this one, this is about the weight of what you are called to carry and why your belly might be blocking the very breakthrough that you have been praying for. And if you feel like you've been doing all the right things, but you're still stuck, then this is going to be the reason you probably have never heard, but that is the true root of a big reason why that could be. And this is all about the consequences, and that this isn't just about cravings, it's about disqualification and how dominion can be denied and your cravings can cost you your crown. This is so serious, so sobering, but absolutely life changing. And when you watch this video until the end, you will get an opportunity to be an entirely different person who can move from a different place. Because the man who cannot govern his appetite, he is unfit to govern anything else, including wealth, household, or nation, because self governance precedes societal government. Gluttony will disqualify you from multi generational stewardship. You see, we live in a world that is obsessed with leadership, with influence, with authority. Everybody wants to be in charge. Everybody wants a platform. Everybody wants to be heard. We want to run companies. We want to launch movements. We want to build wealth and raise legacies. You want to read books. We want to do coaching programs. We want to get promoted. But no one is asking the question that is at the root of it all, which is, can you govern yourself? Can you tell your flesh no and mean it? Because the kingdom doesn't promote based on talent or charisma. It promotes based on internal rulership. And if you can't manage your appetite in private, then you won't be trusted with authority in public. And even if you do, oftentimes it will be to your own demise. You see, appetite isn't just hunger. Each plate in front of you is an opportunity. It's a test, a quiet daily proving ground that reveals what kind of leader you'll become. Adam lost dominion because of a bite. Esau gave up his birthright for a bowl. Israel wandered 40 years because they kept reaching for comfort over covenant. And we think that our cravings are harmless? You want to be trusted with a business, with a bigger family, a platform, a legacy, then you have to prove that you can lead you before God is going to put you in front of and in charge of leading others. The way that you treat your body isn't just about health, it's governance training. And your stomach is the throne, and something is sitting on it. You see, the sobering reality is that a man who can't govern his appetite will overspend. A woman who can't govern her cravings will underlead. A couple who can't govern their consumption will never build a household with generational order. And a leader who can't say no to their flesh will always collapse under the pressure. Because dominion isn't given to those who want it, it's given to those who carry it. And gluttony leaks that ability. Gluttony doesn't just disqualify you because you're weak, it disqualifies you because you choose comfort over character repeatedly. This is why scripture constantly pairs spiritual leadership with self-control. In 1 Corinthians 9:27, Paul said, I discipline my body and keep it under control, lest after preaching to others, I myself should be what? Disqualified. This isn't about legalism, it's about legacy because self mastery is the prerequisite for any mantle. You cannot wield kingdom authority while living in the bondage of your cravings. The fastest way to disqualify a ruler isn't scandal as much as softness, not moral failure, but flabby self leadership, because softness will always sell out stewardship when the pressure arises. So, yes, gluttony is about food, but only on the surface. At the core, it's about who's qualified to carry weight, who's strong enough to govern territory, who has the stamina to raise nations, who can say no to themselves in order to say yes to their assignment. And if you can't say no to your own plate, then can you truly say yes to dominion? And the next consequence are the covenant consequences, that poverty isn't always a test, sometimes it's a trial. That God built the world with moral gravity, fall into sin, and the fall continues into your body, into your budget, and into your grandchildren's inheritance. Gluttony often precedes and causes poverty, not merely as a punishment, but as a predictable outcome of what happens when you neglect creation's built in consequences. These are God's rules and God's world, and He made them to work that way. And so poverty isn't accidental, it's a covenantal consequence. We live in a time where God forgive me is used to cover everything, especially things that we simply refuse to confront. But here's what most people don't realize is that forgiveness does not cancel consequences. And the kingdom operates with laws, not just love. And the way that God loves us is through those laws because they literally help us and guide us. And He's literally giving us the keys to operate in this world. And God is not mocked. What a person sows, they will reap. And that is not a threat, it's a principle. And God doesn't need to punish you for gluttony. If He just lets the law of your own choices unfold, you will receive natural consequences for that. And gluttony isn't just about a habit, it is a violation of self governance, stewardship, and dominion. And when you keep choosing comfort over obedience, you're not just hurting your body, you are eroding your capacity to inherit. It shows up as financial fog, as sluggish disobedience or sluggish obedience, as delayed strategy, as inconsistent execution, and generational dysfunction. And while it feels just personal, like maybe the only person being affected is you, the impact here is generational. You're not just eating a donut, you're teaching your nervous system to delay destiny, and your children will inherit the consequences of that. Think about it. The same way one man's disobedience in Eden led to a generational exile, your unbroken appetite may be seeding your daughter's disordered eating, your son's inability to finish what he starts, and your family's normalizing of debt, of delay, of daily indulgence. If your kids are looking at you, what are they learning from you by the way that you are stewarding what is on your plate? And why? Because what goes unhealed in you will become familiar in them. And this is why it's not just spiritual, it's covenantal, and that God's design is layered. Your body is a temple. Your appetite is a gate. Your habits are prophecies. They're going to predict what future will be for you, and your patterns each preach to your bloodline. If you live in violation of your temple, you're not just breaking rules, you are breaking future capacity. And this isn't just something that has a simple consequence, but God isn't going to override the system that He created. If you violate the order long enough, you won't need any sort of demonic warfare to stay stuck. Your own physiology, finances, and focus will erode automatically as a natural consequence. And that's not demonic delay, that's just covenantal consequence. And legacy, right? How many people say they want to leave wealth? You want to steward influence. You want to raise godly children and build a house that outlives you. Then you have to stop acting like your appetite is just about you, because it's not. Appetite is how most people forfeit inheritance without even realizing it. Not through sin that shocks, but through choices that will slowly sabotage and eat away at you. So, what's the pivot? You stop calling it just a struggle and you start calling it what it is: a breach in your covenant assignment, a pattern that threatens your promise, and a decision that delays your legacy. You stop asking, will God still love me? Because He will. But you start asking, am I living in a way that truly multiplies what He gave me? Because that is the measure of stewardship. God is not withholding blessing. He is waiting for order to be restored. And once it is, the same laws that once limited you begin to work for you. And if you're struggling with feeling like you're waiting on God, I highly encourage you to watch a video I did called You're Not Waiting on God, God is Waiting on You, because it goes into that in so much more depth. And if you haven't grabbed it yet, the decoder is where the journey starts. And these are the 7 silent agreements with gluttony that look harmless but are stealing your stamina and hijacking your harvest. And if you want to be filled in on the enemy's plan and how he pulls you in with food and what you can do to stop it, you can look in my description and get the link to that for free. All you do is pop in your email and I will send it directly to you and walk you through these 7 agreements to make sure that you are not being hindered by them. You see, there's this false freedom that we get as well. This is another huge consequence because this liberty is a lie. And what it feels like freedom, the waste man is going to tell you otherwise because gluttony is a modern parody of liberty. It's a fake, it's a scam, it's a caricature that is used by consumerist societies to mask the bondage of the will, not its flourishing. And our culture, freedom has been rebranded as indulgence. Eat what you want. Buy what you want, live how you want, no limits, no guilt, no rules, right? And it sounds empowering, but here's the problem. What you call freedom, your body is literally telling you that this is captivity. What you call self-love, your nervous system is reading as chaos. And what you call choice, your spirit calls surrender, but not the holy kind. A type of surrender where you wave the white flag and by your decisions, you are declaring that you gave up. You see, freedom without form is just another flavor of bondage. We've mistaken the absence of restriction for the presence of liberation, and they're not the same things. True freedom isn't doing whatever you want, it's wanting what aligns with your highest calling. And that kind of desire has to be trained and disciplined and governed and refined by the fire of obedience. But gluttony whispers, hey, you had a long day, or you're grown. You can do what feels good, or you deserve it, or don't be so hard on yourself. Or maybe some of you are like me and you grew up and you weren't able to have things. Maybe you didn't always have food in the fridge. Maybe when you did go out to eat, it was literally to McDonald's and that happened maybe once a year. Maybe when you did get to go somewhere, you were having to order water and you couldn't get desserts or appetizers. And again, these are still first world problems, but that doesn't mean that they're not real to us. And then maybe when you got food in your pantry, when you were able to eat and not have to worry about that food scarcity, that you decided, I will never tell myself no again, because you are keeping a promise to that little girl who wasn't able to do that. And comment below if you can relate to that, because that's the situation that I grew up in. And I told myself I would never have to say no again. I would never go without again. And so that was one of the stories that I was telling myself, that this is what freedom looks like, to be able to get whatever I want when I want it. And I can tell you that it did not produce any sort of freedom in me, that it was a lie. And we have mistaken, again, the absence of restriction for the presence of liberation. And being able to obey your highest calling. The person who is free is not the person who sits on the couch and is actually a slave to their cravings and to their appetite. Gluttony, it sounds kind, it sounds mature, it sounds free, but when the cravings hit and you can't say no, that is when you are ruled by what's on your plate instead of what is in your spirit. That's not freedom, that's bondage with new branding. And if you can't choose to stop, it was never freedom. It was just unresisted slavery. This is why Paul says in 1 Corinthians 6:12, all things are lawful for me, but not all things are helpful. I will not be mastered by anything. Other translations say, I will not be dominated by anything. That line, not can I, but does this master me? And if your appetite answers to impulse more than assignment, you're not walking in dominion. You're just dressing up dysfunction as independence. Just because no one is telling you no doesn't mean that you're free, but it might mean that you're ungoverned. This is what makes gluttony so dangerous in this generation, is that it comes wrapped in self-acceptance. It's applauded in anti-diet and self-love and body positivity culture. It's baptized in mental health language, and it is validated by people who are just as bound, and they're just louder about their bondage. You're not judged for it, you're affirmed in it. Even as your body breaks down, even as fire fades, even as calling goes cold. Because when you live in a consumer society, every weakness becomes a market. And the last thing the system wants is for you to get strong enough to stop buying what you don't need. So they call your addiction freedom, because it is profitable to keep you dependent. You can't be powerful if your will is passive. And no, you're not free. You are just heavily marketed to. The shift is this, that real freedom isn't measured by what you can say yes to, but by what you have the strength to say no to. And if you don't have that, then cravings aren't just habit, they are your handlers. Your stomach has become the leash on your leadership. So, no, you're not more free because you can eat whatever you want. You're more free when what you want has been refined and is designed and determined by who you are becoming. True liberty is when your flesh submits to your future. False liberty is when your flesh decides it. Now, this is what you need to know. If you feel the weight of this, it is because your spirit knows that you have been called to carry something that is much more than where you are at right now, something that is much heavier. But in order to do that, you have to have a vessel that can carry what you were born to carry. And so overflow isn't delayed, it's just too heavy, too big for your current form. And so if you haven't grabbed it yet, the decoder is where the journey starts. And those 7 silent agreements with gluttony that look harmless are going to tell you what you need to do. Now, you are not stuck because you lack knowledge. You are stuck because you made unconscious agreements with your flesh, and your flesh has no future. You've read the books, you've watched the sermons, you've listened to podcasts, you've prayed the prayers, you've gotten the diets, you've picked up the meal plans, you've done all the things, but none of it has worked. I just have one question. Are you sick and tired yet? And put it in the comments. Tell me, I am sick and tired. Tell me it ends with me. We're not going to go another day. We're not going to go another generation, certainly, dealing with these same food problems that have plagued me, that have plagued my family for our entire lives and generations before me. It ends with me. And so if you've tried all the things and you are truly sick and tired and you know that you don't have a strategy problem. You have a stewardship problem. You have an identity problem, that you have been subtly siding with your cravings and calling it your personality, calling it exhaustion, calling it balance, calling it God loves me anyway. And the Lord does love you. But because of that, that should push us more into alignment, not further away from it. You might not be disqualified yet, but you are certainly out of position. And the truth that nobody will tell you, but I love you enough to say, is that God isn't withholding your blessing. Your belly is. Your stamina is leaking out where you are supposed to be going. Your brain is foggy. And so you can't actually think of the things that the Lord has put in your mind to be able to execute them. Your conviction has gone soft, and your vessel, the very body that God gave you to carry fire, has become a clogged pipe of ungoverned desire. And you're praying for overflow, but you're eating like someone who doesn't believe the war is coming. And you want to walk in royalty, but you're fueling like a slave. And you don't train like someone who expects to be chosen. You don't steward like someone who is expecting to be sent. Like if you knew that the body that you have right now was going to go out into war, would you be prepared for it? Of course not. Because we have been sitting in comfort and in our tower saying that we're expecting something, but we are not living like it, hoping for abundance, but living like captivity is still your default setting. And so the enemy doesn't need to steal your money if he can take your momentum, because without stamina, even your blessings feel like burdens. Think about that. How many things do you have right now, be it your spouse, your kids, a car, a house, a job, a business that you're able to work on, that in those times you felt fatigued and tired and stressed and overwhelmed, they have felt more like burdens because you were not able to carry them. And so you're thinking it's a delay, but delay is what it looks like when a vessel isn't ready. When you say you're ready for more, but your choices still align with less. When your inbox is full of strategy, but your vessel is full of sugar, of self soothing, and of softness. And the softness may feel safe, but it cannot carry sacred things. Your overflow is not delayed, it is just too heavy for your current form. And this isn't a guilt trip or condemnation, this is invitation. And that if you felt it and you're finally seeing that the thing that's blocking the blessing wasn't your mindset, your marketing, or your money, it's your body's inability to carry what has already been approved. And this is the moment that changes everything for you if you're ready to take the next step. There is a program that is changing lives called the $1 Million Vessel. And it's not a weight loss program. It is where kingdom people rebuild capacity, where obedience becomes embodied, where you stop asking for overflow and start becoming the kind of woman who can actually handle it. And it's not about the number on the scale, but that moves as a result. It is about being able to carry pressure without breaking. You're not delayed. you are still in training, and this is the training ground. So if you're ready to stop living beneath your anointing, if your habits have been leaking the very thing that you were born to hold, and you are ready to upgrade your vessel to be able to hold everything God has for you, then the $1 million vessel is your next step. And it is in the description where you can learn about it and take the next step, because it's time to stop praying for a breakthrough that you're not strong enough to carry and start focusing on building a vessel that actually can. And so if you felt the weight of this, it's because your spirit knows I was made to carry something heavy. Maybe that's a mantle, a message, a movement, a multi-generational wealth assignment. But first, before you can do that, the vessel must be rebuilt, not for aesthetic, not for applause, but for capacity, for credibility, for covenant. And so here is the call. If God handed you your next level tomorrow, would you be able to hold it? Or would it crush you? You were made for weight, but you must become the vessel who can carry it. And this is your turning point. It's not just about food, it's not about fat loss, it's about being fit to carry the fire that is going to come. And so if you're ready to take the next step, I will see you. Click the link in the description and join me in $1 million Vessel. Join me on my journey with all these other women who are doing this as well, to become fit for fire, to be the vessel that can hold everything that is for us. So if you're new here, subscribe so you don't miss any videos. I talk about literally just reaching your potential in every area of life by the grace of God, in your finances, in your faith, in your business, in all of those areas when it comes to money and overflow and finance. And I talk about the things that I can't find anybody else talking about, the content that would have helped me when I was in that situation. I've been able to, by the grace of God, become a millionaire, now a multi-millionaire, literally doing the things that I am telling you. And this is a place where I get to share all of my reflections and the things that the Lord is teaching me, and bringing you along with me to help you have more overflow in every area of your life too. I'd love to have you stick around. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed the video and if it was impactful, if you felt it was for you. And if you haven't seen the other two videos, go back and take a look. This series has been absolutely life-changing. And even if you don't go forward with $1 Million Vessel, just this content alone is enough to be absolutely game-changing. But if you want the actual practical, the application, the community, the accountability to truly shift your identity to become the kind of woman who finishes whatever she starts, there's nowhere else you're going to get that than $1 Million Vessel. So for those who are truly ready, who feel so called and know that this is for you, I will see you there.